Many of us make resolutions to eat better in the new year, and sometimes that means eliminating different types of food. But what do you consider healthy food? Here to tell us about an upcoming panel discussion on that topic is Zyra Castillo, owner of Gallafe, which is a place where Filipino food is featured, which is a wonderful aspect to have in our city. You're very passionate about creating a healthy conversation around food. And how did that come about?
So Gallafe actually started out as a blog, just a food blog, and then eventually turned into a pop-up. So I actually sell food at the local farmers markets. And the Food4Thought series is actually something that sprung up from that to have a more educational aspect. And so the thing that's coming up is about, what is healthy. And so and I did it specifically in January because I know everyone's starting to diet and thinking about that. So it's hard to tell what is healthy and what isn't and what's a fad. And so one of the things that I'm featuring is having someone who's a doctor, someone who's a food producer, and then someone who is involved in food justice. So things like food access and the other aspects that affect our health.
Sounds like a very interesting panel discussion, one that people can ask a lot of questions, get a lot of information. You also created Cultura, and Cultura is an education center in which you use food to educate. And how do you do that?
Yeah, so it's there's no brick and mortar for it yet, but Food4Thought is actually part of Cultura. So it was awarded a grant to begin building Cultura, which is going to be a cultural education center. And the food aspect is, food is a great way to introduce culture, and so that's what Food4Thought is doing for Culture is, using food and talking about food as a stepping stone into talking about other things.
So you also have this event, which you mentioned just a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit more? I mean, it's $15 a ticket. So what can people expect for this 2-hour event?
Yeah, so I'll be getting some local food from basically next door, some Vietnamese food. So one thing I want to do is introduce new foods if someone has never had it. And last time a bunch of people had Ethiopian food for the first time, and so I think that's a lot of fun. And then we'll have the panel discussion and then Q&A, and usually the panelists are pretty friendly, and they'll be able to talk to you and just kind of hang out for a little bit.
All right. Well, thank you so much for stopping by and telling us about this, Zyra. Of course, if you would like to learn more about Food4Thought and the panel discussion, I've got this information for you on 13onyourside.com.